I'm Alex Economou, and I'm the coordinator of the
volume
Central
is
Coast
very
Queen
low.
Cities Coalition. Today's webinar is being presented by Southern California Edison and the Electric Drive 805 Coalition. Electric Drive 805 is a group of local partners in Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura counties. Heather, can you go back to the first slide, please? That have been working together over the past decade to reduce emissions from the transportation sector and prepare our region for electric vehicles. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items for today's webinar. The webinar is being recorded, and a recording of the webinar, as well as the presentation slides, will be made available to all registered attendees. Please make sure that you are on mute during the presentation to limit background noise. There will be some time at the end of the webinar for Q&A, but feel free to type your questions directly into the chat at any point during the presentation, and we will try to get to as many questions as we can at the end. Today's presentation will begin with a brief overview of electric vehicles by Nancy Claren with the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance. Then we will hear from Dana Robertson with Southern California Edison about SCE's Charge Ready program. After that, I'll provide an overview of some other local EV charger incentive programs that are available in Santa Barbara and Ventura counties that can be stacked with SCE's Charge Ready program. And finally, before we get into Q&A, Vania Fong with the Community Environmental Council will talk about a couple of other energy programs that can help multifamily housing properties save money. All right, Nancy, take it away.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so thank you everyone for being here today and taking an interest in such an important topic. My name is Nancy Clarin, and I work for the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance within the County Executive Office. And I understand our audience today is diverse in professions and in backgrounds, so I'm just gonna go a little over the basics of electric vehicles. So next slide, please. What are electric vehicles? Electric vehicles are defined by their ability to use electricity for propulsion. On the left here, you'll see a battery electric or a fully electric vehicle. These cars are powered by an electric battery that you can plug into a charger. And the range on these newer battery electric vehicles can be between 100 and 400 miles. On the right, you'll see the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. This one also runs on an electric battery that you can recharge with a plug, but it's also complemented with a conventional engine that also runs on gas. So plug-in hybrids have enough battery to meet the demands of a daily work commute, and that's about 32 miles a day. And then it'll switch over for gas for longer trips or road trips. And not pictured on this slideshow, or on this slide, is the fuel cell electric vehicle. That one produces electricity using a fuel cell powered by hydrogen, but fuel cell charging won't be a focus of this webinar, so I won't go into these. Next slide, please. So let's talk about chargers. There's 3 kinds of chargers, each with a different level of charging speed. Level 1 is the slowest charger, and it delivers 3 to 5 miles of range per hour. The purchase of an EV will usually or always come with a level 1 charger, and it's actually plugged into the same standard 120 volt outlet that you probably plug your phone into. And then there's level 2 charging, and that's the kind that you'll most often run into at public charging stations, and it's also a popular choice for home charger installations. Level 2 chargers deliver about 50 miles of charge per hour, and fastest charging comes from DC fast chargers. They deliver a full charge in 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the vehicle. And these chargers are really convenient, but they usually aren't a driver's main charging method because it'll wear down the life of a battery if it's used too often. So instead, fast charging is reserved for long road trips or emergency charging. Next slide, please. Okay, and why are electric vehicle chargers? Why is any of this relevant to you and your multifamily housing property? Well, in September of 2020, Newsom issued an executive order requiring the sale of all new passenger vehicles to be zero emission by 2035. And in April of this year, the California Air Resources Board introduced their plan to phase out the sale of new gas-powered vehicles. And that'll be finalized by this summer, making the executive order legally binding. And several major auto manufacturers have also made commitments to electrification. That includes Volkswagen, Toyota, General Motors, and more. And so what all this means is that we're going to see an exponential growth in the number of electric vehicle drivers on the road, and also an increase in the demand for home chargers. Next slide, please. Okay, and this graphic here sums up the electric vehicle market report from the California Energy Commission. And I want to highlight two numbers here. That's California EV sales and California EV chargers. So the California Energy Commission reported over 1 million sales of EV sales in 2021 and a little over 79,000 chargers. As directed by Newsom's executive order, California has an objective to achieve 250,000 electric vehicle chargers by 2025. The report found that an additional 123,000 are planned, so that leaves a gap of about 57,000 installations to get to the 250,000 goal. SoCal Edison, or SCE, recognizes the role that multifamily home charging takes in meeting this goal, and they're helping property owners prepare for the rise in EV charging station demand through their Charge Ready program. So with that said, I'd like to pass it over to Dana Robertson, SCE E-Mobility Business Development and Partnership Advisor.
Thanks, Nancy. Hello, everyone. As Nancy mentioned, my name is Dana Robertson, and I'm an advisor with Southern California Edison's E-Mobility Business Development and Partnerships. My focus is helping customers submit quality applications for the Charge Ready program and ensuring we hit our multifamily targets. You will see today during my presentation that our program is very multifamily focused, and we have several options for multifamily. Next slide. The Charge Ready program is an expansion of the Charge Ready pilot program, and it provides approved funding for $436 million to support EV charging infrastructure for light-duty passenger vehicles, which equates to approximately 30 to 40,000 ports installed. The program provides financial and technical assistance to install charging stations, and there are 3 different program offerings with incentive options that I will start to cover on the next slide. The charging infrastructure and rebate offering is available to non-residential and multifamily SCE customers. Through this option, SCE provides the utility and customer side of the meter supporting infrastructure at no cost. We also offer eligible participants a rebate to help offset the cost associated with the purchase and installation of SCE approved charging equipment. Participants also have the option to self-design, purchase, and install the customer side of the meter infrastructure work and be eligible for a rebate of up to 80% of what it would have either cost SCE to otherwise complete the work or customer cost, whichever is the lesser of the two. And this option eligible.
We don't have the slides. The slides are not coming.
I can see them on my side. There might be a delay. But
yeah,
you should,
I
think
everybody on
everybody.
my end too.
Mm-hmm.
You can click on them in the bottom row if that's how you're set up. That's what I had to do. Is if you see the slide, click on that, and then it'll pop up in the main window.
Right,
Okay,
there's multiple windows. You can be the slides or the presenter. Click on the slides.
All right, I'm going to keep moving forward. If you're having problems with the chat, with seeing the slides, maybe you could just type it in the chat. We'll try and help you. But through the customer side make ready option, and this option, eligible participants would also qualify for a rebate to help offset the cost of purchasing and installing the SCE approved charging equipment as well. Go to the next slide, please. So, and just providing a visual to that program option that I provided you for the SCE built make ready infrastructure, the program would tap into your existing transformer, provide a separate service and meter. That is what we call the utility side of the infrastructure, and SCE will always be responsible for completing this portion of the work. Through the SCE built make ready infrastructure, we would also provide a separate panel and provide all of the conduit and wiring, and also design the entire project from the panel up to the stub out of where the charging station will be installed at no cost. And we would also provide a rebate to help offset the cost of purchasing and installing the actual charging equipment. Through this option, there are cost requirements that have to be met in order for the project to be viable and be able to participate through that option. So we do look for participants to have the charging stations as close to their existing transformer as possible and group together as well to help meet those cost requirements and make it just the project likelier to be viable for the program. The customer built portion, which you can see on the right side of your screen, SCE would complete that utility infrastructure work, and then the customer would complete all of the infrastructure design and construction from the panel up to the stub out where the charging station would be installed, and also be eligible in this option for a rebate to purchase and install the charging stations. We would require in both options an easement for any of the SCE utility infrastructure work that would be completed. So for the SCE built option, it would be all of the infrastructure work that we install. And then for the customer side make ready option, you would be the participant would be required to sign an easement for the utility side work. We also have a requirement in the program that the customer would be committing to having the stations maintained and operational for a 10-year duration. Next slide, please. The Turnkey program is available to multifamily customers located in disadvantaged communities. SCE will design, install, and maintain the infrastructure. And beyond the infrastructure work, SCE will also select, purchase, and install the charging equipment at no cost through this program option. SCE will also be responsible for maintaining the equipment for the full 10-year duration. Essentially, the only thing the customer or program participant is responsible for in this option is paying the monthly electric bill. Next slide, please. The new construction rebate is available to multifamily new developments that are either in the development phase or maybe have recently completed construction and have a certificate of occupancy after January 1st, 2017. The program covers the expense to go above and beyond the Cal Green Code requirements and go from EV capable that the site is required to have per the Cal Green Code to EV installation. The incentive for this option is up to $3,500 per port. Next slide. And just a program comparison for the charging infrastructure and rebate program. This is available to non-residential and multifamily property sites. The minimum requirement is that you install 4 ports at minimum. The utility side of the infrastructure, like I mentioned, is always going to be completed by SCE, and you can either have SCE complete the customer side of the infrastructure, or as I mentioned, the customer can complete that portion of the work. The customer would be required, the participant would be required to have that monthly electric bill in their name. And you would also be required to have the stations maintained and operational for the full 10 years, as I previously mentioned. You would also have to enroll in a time of use rate and enroll in a demand response program as well. The stations are required in all 3 different program offerings to be networked and provide that communication for the full 10 years as well. As I mentioned, the turnkey installation program is for multifamily properties located in a disadvantaged community. SCE would be completing all of the utility and customer side of the infrastructure work. And going beyond that, we would be selecting the product, provide the installation. SCE would maintain the charging equipment for the full 10 years. And essentially, as I mentioned, the customer or program participant is only responsible really just for that monthly electric bill. And then the new construction rebate is available to multifamily customers only that are either recently constructed their site or maybe they're in the development phase. And this rebate, it's a rebate only option. There's no infrastructure work needed for the new construction rebate, and that just provides a simple rebate of up to $3,500 per port to go above and beyond the Cal Green Code requirement and go from EV capable to EV installed. Next slide, please. And I'm going to stop for just 1 second just to check the chat for questions. Give me 1 moment while that loads. Okay, so it looks like I don't see any questions so far.
I
Can
see
the four-
one hand raised, Dana.
There we go, Marty. Can the 4 ports be located in different parts of the complex? So great question. If you're going to be asking SCE to complete the utility side and the customer side make ready work, then in order to meet those cost requirements of the program, they do need to be co-located and located in one general area. So we can work with you on trying to determine the most viable deployment location. So if you have something in mind, we always try and accommodate what our customers request and install the stations and have the infrastructure completed where they prefer their deployment location be. But we do ask, if you're participating in that option, that you're flexible on the port count as well as the deployment location in case we need to make some changes. We do ask that you're flexible. Let's see, who do we contact? Oh, Dana will, sorry, let me see. How determine if in a DAC community? So we use the Cal Enviro Screen 4.0 to determine the site, their DAC status. So if you just type in your address, and you can check to see if it's in a disadvantaged community or not. And to be in a disadvantaged community, we only take the top percentile. So that's how we use the Cal Enviro screen to determine your DAC status. Will SCE pay to install the transformer? So if the transformer needs to be upgraded for the additional load, for the additional EV charging station load, and if it meets the cost requirements, we may be able to also upgrade your transformer as well. So that's a really great benefit of the program, because for multifamily properties, these buildings were built long before we thought about electric vehicles. So we know that's important as well. So that's a great benefit. And then I'll provide the email address at the end of my presentation if you have more questions on how you can reach out to us to discuss the options further. There is not a minimum number of housing units. So 2 units, I mean, for multifamily, the definition of multifamily is 2 units or more with a shared wall. So that's the definition of multifamily in our program. So single family homes don't qualify. Mobile home parks do qualify. Apartments, condos, timeshares. So we have quite a few definitions and as part of the multifamily definition. Let's see. Thanks for providing the link, Nancy. Let's see. Thanks, Alex. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I don't think I skipped anything, but if I don't get to your question, I will provide the email address that you can send any questions that maybe I didn't get to. And I think there's a hand raised. I will come back to anybody that I might have missed at the end of our presentation. So as far as the program process, you would need to submit your application through our customer portal if you are the customer of record submitting the application. From the time that you apply to the time that we're done with construction and hand the site back to you to have those charging stations installed, you're looking at generally about a 12-month time frame, depending on some deliverables that we are required from the customer. For example, signing your program agreement, signing your easement. The sooner you can get that done, the faster we can move your project along. And delays, obviously, some delays around that would delay your project out as well. So generally, we like to say 12 months if we get everything in a timely manner. But you apply for the program. Once you sign your program agreement, funding for your project and your site is reserved. We would then work with you to for the pre-construction commitments based on the product that you would be installing for the program. We would design and build all of the infrastructure work from that, and then you would receive your rebate, and then we would just verify the installation, and you would be done with your project. So you're looking at about a 12-month time frame. Next slide, please. And this is actually, we have a little video for you guys. We have a customer, Silver Spur Court Condos. This is actually my customer that participated in our pilot program. It's a condominium in, I believe it's Rancho Santa Margarita, and they participated in our program, and it's about a 2-minute video that we wanted to show you just so that you could hear firsthand from a customer on what their experience was participating in the program.
Silver Spur Court HOA President Robert Wills began to explore putting electric vehicle charging stations at his property in Rolling Hills Estates because of interest from 2 residents who were EV drivers.
We had 2 owners that had electric cars, and we were having board meetings, and I said, you know, I think it's time that we start thinking about putting in charging stations.
After doing research, Wills knew the necessary electrical upgrades would be too expensive for the HOA until he visited Southern California Edison's website and discovered the Charge Ready program.
And so I said, okay, let's see what this is about. You know, so I put in our information and I signed up, and then I started going through the steps to do it. It was very simple, it was easy, the people were great, and it worked out really well.
First phase of the project, 10 ports, was completed in 2017, and a second phase is expected to go in soon. Meanwhile, owners have been working together to make sure everyone's car gets charged.
So for the people who are in the parking level 1 who don't have a charger, okay, that paid for it, they can use one from one of the other owners if that has a charger on the second level, as long as they agree. And now we're going to go phase 2, have a 100% electrified condominium.
Since charging stations have been installed, more owners have been inspired to buy electric vehicles.
And we're up to 11 electric cars. And several of those, I think 4 of them or 5 of them, chose to get an electric car because they could charge it now.
And Wells believes the project has also increased the value of their condominiums.
I think today the property value of these condos is greater now because there'll be a lot of people out there with electric cars and they want to come live up here.
His advice for HOAs considering adding EV charging at their properties?
First step they should take, obviously, is meet with all the owners and see if there's interest. The second step for, I think, most HOAs would be to definitely contact Charge Ready. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to us, okay? I mean, I'm so glad I stumbled across you guys.
Thank you. So that's just kind of firsthand experience from one of our customers, as I mentioned, that I personally worked with during our pilot program. They successfully installed charging stations for every single homeowner. So that was a great story that we wanted to share with you all. Next slide, please. And finally, SCE is here to help. So if you don't know where exactly to begin, we can conduct an EV readiness study for your site and help you begin your plans for installing EV charging at your site and just prepare you for an application for a Charge Ready program. Our EV readiness studies are available now, and you can request one at no cost. You can visit us at www.sce.com/Ts to request a study. And this is really for customers who are very early on in the process. Multifamily customers also qualify for this service, and you'll have technical guidance before you even apply. So this is a great option if you're just very early on in the planning process. Next slide. This concludes the portion of my presentation. I will go ahead and I have a few minutes to answer some questions. If I'm not able to get to your question, please send us an email at chargeready@sce.com. We include your information, your name, your title, the site address, and someone will get back to you to assist you. So let me just see if there's any questions here. And you'll also get a copy of this presentation as well.
Do you have a phone number for us to call for any further information?
There isn't a phone number where you can call, but there is an email address, chargeready@sce.com, and I can type it in here.
Chargeready@sce.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Cameron. And there's a question is there a problem if we are in a mudslide area? As long as you're an SCE customer, non-residential or multifamily, you can apply and we'll assess your site depending on the program option that you apply for and help you with your application. And you will also have a dedicated account manager that will help you along the way. You will also have an SCE design and construction project manager that will be responsible for the design and the construction of your project that will help you along the way as well. Can we charge ready chargers work for both? Yes, our program supports level 1 and level 2 charging. I believe there was a hand up. I want to make sure I get to that. I can't see whose hand's up though. Is there?
The hand up is coming from Jep TGE.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and come off of mute, Jepji, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Or you can type your question in the chat. And then regarding single family home with detached ADU, seems like this does not meet your rule as there are no shared walls. Correct. That's correct. Clay. And then I'm not sure, Cliff, how do the cost allocated? If you could expand on that a little bit for me. How many EVs can be charged at once? So we will design your project for the max kW that would be needed at any given time. So it's going to depend on how many ports you're installing through the program, but we will design your project if it meets the cost requirements for the max load that you would that would be required and that would be needed. All right. As I said, if I didn't answer your question, please, oh, the cost of electrical use. So that depends on the rate that you take service on for that meter and the charging pattern. But we can also provide you with a rate analysis depending on the product that you select, as well as that charging pattern. So you would have to provide us with some assumptions on when you think the chargers would be utilized and for how long and how many days of the year and things like that. And then we can run an analysis based off of those assumptions to give you an idea of what electricity costs you're looking at. Should we move quickly because your program may run out of money? I definitely think that the program's available right now. We have funding allocated to support the infrastructure needed to install the charging stations. And then on top of that with the rebate, it's a great program. I definitely encourage you to apply now because we, as you mentioned, we have limited funding. So that's something that you definitely want to start working with us right now.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are these charging stations such that the person doing the charging pays for the electricity with a credit card or something?
Yes, there's you would be required to select a product from SCE's approved product list, and you can work with the vendor to figure out, what type of payment system do you accommodate? Is it through a credit card, a QR code? We don't get involved with that. If we leave it up to the program participant and the applicant to determine, do we need to charge the end user? Do we want to make it free? If we want to charge, how much do we want to charge? There is a website, plugshare.com. I always encourage my customers to look at that website to determine how many charging stations maybe are in the area, and then what they're charging, just to help you stay competitive and give you an idea of what people are charging, because it's just like gas prices. I mean, you wouldn't go pay somewhere $6 a gallon when around the corner it's $2 a gallon. So kind of same concept, but the website's plugshare.com, and that can kind of give you an idea. Yes, correct. And if I wasn't able to answer your question today, and there was some questions that we received in advance around grant funding that I didn't get to touch on, but our Charge Ready program does allow our customers to stack with other funding opportunities. However, we do ask that you let us know if you're participating in another like grant or some type of other incentive program, and we will calculate your rebate after all of that, because we wouldn't be able to give you a rebate and payouts when the incentive to a customer where the rebate exceeded your cost. And then also you'd have to do your own due diligence and make sure you're talking to whoever, what other grant funding programs there are, options that you're looking at to make sure that you can participate in their program and the SCE Charge Ready program as well. So it would require some more due diligence on the customer side, but you are, from our standpoint and our perspective, able to stack other funding and grant assistance. Thank you so much for coming today and all your great questions. And as I said, if I wasn't able to get to your question or if you need more help, please email the chargeready@sce.com email address, and we will help you from there. And now over to you, Alex. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Dana, for that great presentation on SCE's Charge Ready program. So this next slide provides some more information on a few other local EV charger incentive programs that can be stacked with Charge Ready. In Santa Barbara County, we've got two other incentive programs that can be stacked. The first one is the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District's Clean Air Grants program. The 2022 Clean Air Grants program will be launching this summer and provides grants of up to $250,000 per project to help purchase and install EV charging stations. This is a competitive solicitation, and more information can be found on the Air District's website listed on this slide. If you have any questions about this program or would like to be added to the email outreach list to stay updated on program launch, feel free to shoot me an email, and my contact information will be provided on the last slide. The other incentive program that I want to mention that is available in Santa Barbara County, as well as San Luis Obispo County and other counties to the north, is Central Coast Community Energy's Electrify Your Ride program. This program is first come, first served, and provides rebates to eligible customers for EV charger installations. Rebates for EV chargers are available for up to $3,000 per charger and up to $5,000 for EV readiness, which includes expenses related to installation and electrical costs. For more information, you can visit Central Coast Community Energy's website listed on the slide. In Ventura County, funding is still available for level 2 chargers from the California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project, or Cal EVIP. The Cal EVIP South Central Coast Incentive Project is funded by the California Energy Commission, with co-funding being provided by local partners, and provides incentives for EV chargers on a first-come, first-served basis throughout Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura counties. Funding in Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo has been oversubscribed, but there's still over $1 million available in Ventura County. Multifamily housing properties are eligible for rebates of up to $5,500 per charger, and an additional $500 if the site is located in a designated low-income or disadvantaged community. And more information on Cal EVIP can be found on the website listed on this slide. Next up, I'll pass it over to Vanya Fong to talk about a couple of other energy programs available for multifamily properties.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So we have a couple energy efficiency and renewable energy programs that you may be eligible for to access clean energy. So this first one is MultiFamily Home Energy Program hosted by the Tri-County Regional Energy Network, which provides no-cost energy assessment, incentives, and technical assistance to help you upgrade your energy efficient, upgrade to more energy efficient appliances, and both market rate and affordable properties with 5 or more units are eligible, and affordable properties are eligible for higher incentives. Increasing the energy efficiency of your property can really help you install more EV chargers without expensive upgrades or transformer upgrades. And to learn more, you can fill out the interest form that's linked on the slide, check out the website. You can also come to an upcoming event. We actually have an in-person event in Ventura where you can learn more about it. And the second program that you may be eligible for or interested in is, this is really targeted on affordable housing, affordable multifamily housing. So SOMA stands for Solar on Multifamily Affordable Housing, and it provides financial incentives, technical assistance for installing solar panels on your property. So going solar will save you and your tenants money on your energy bills and also help power your EV chargers if you install them with clean energy. Similarly, to learn more, you can check out the website, and also there's an upcoming event coming up actually tomorrow if you'd like to join virtually. But there's also a lot of recorded events and a lot of information on the website. So I highly suggest checking one or both of these programs out.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Allen. I'm with County of Ventura, Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance. And we have some contact information up on the slide or up on the screen. And then also, if you have any questions, I'm helping to facilitate Q&A. I don't see any hands raised. And I don't see any questions in the chat. Again, I want to remind everyone that we'll send the slides out later, along with any late questions or questions we didn't get to answer. Okay. Any last minute comments or questions? We have about 5 more minutes. If not, I guess we can end early.
Heather, just really quick, Dana, are there any questions that came in before the webinar that you want to address with this time we still have?
I touched on the grant funding question and some of the infrastructure questions we received. So I don't think there's anything else related to the Church Ready program. But if there is something, just email the Church Ready inbox and we'll be sure to have somebody reach out to you.
Yeah, and I suspect along with the PowerPoint presentation, all the links that have been put in the chat, we can send those out too about the different programs that 3CE has, along with 3C Ren and Charge Ready and Cal EVIP.
All right, well, thanks, Heather, and thanks everybody for joining today's webinar. Definitely a really exciting space for multifamily housing properties to explore putting EV chargers in. I think now is there's been no better time than today to do this kind of work and facilitate the adoption of electric vehicles in our communities. So as we mentioned, we'll be following up with more information. We'll share the slides and the recording. But thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well, I logged in time to hear everybody say goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.